Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hope you're all having an awesome day. So today we've got something pretty cool to talk about. Yes, it's another Palworld update, and this one's called version 0.6.9 or build 1.082.048 if you're checking your launcher or console. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This one's a smaller update, but trust me, even though it doesn't come packed with new pals or flashy new islands, it's a really important one. It fixes a couple of things that have been driving players absolutely crazy over the past few weeks, and it also sets the stage for smoother gameplay moving forward. So let's just chill and chat about what's new, what's fixed, and why these small details matter more than they might seem at first glance. Now, first off, the biggest fix in this patch, and honestly, the one that has probably saved a ton of frustration, is about those game freezes that were happening during battles, especially when you were fighting against the Terraprism or the Free Pal Alliance. If you've been playing for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're in the middle of an intense fight. Maybe you've got your best team out, everything's going perfectly, and then suddenly the game just stops responding. The music might still play, your character freezes mid-animation, and your only real option is to force quit. It's one of those moments that can completely ruin your session, especially if you were doing a higher level raid or bounty. Well, good news, that's been fixed. The devs finally tracked down what was causing it, and from what players are reporting since the update dropped, it looks like the issue is gone. That means you can actually finish those battles now without worrying that the whole game is going to lock up on you at the worst possible moment. It's the kind of fix that doesn't sound flashy on paper, but it completely changes the experience once you're actually playing. The Terraprism and the Free Pal Alliance are both late game enemies, right? They're not just random encounters. You usually spend a bunch of time prepping for them, crafting ammo, optimizing your pals, setting up your team. And then when the fight finally starts, that's supposed to be your moment. So when your game just freezes mid-fight, it's not just annoying, it's discouraging. You might lose progress, items, or even interest in retrying. So having that fixed is a huge relief. It's one of those behind-the-scenes quality of life updates that keep players engaged, because now those late game battles actually work as intended. The second fix is one that probably annoyed explorers and collectors more than fighters. It's the issue with the supply crate map icons not disappearing after you looted them. If you've spent time wandering around Palworld's huge open areas, you know how satisfying it is to see a crate on the map. Make your way there, open it up, and grab whatever loot it's holding. But for some players, those icons would just stay there after they picked everything up. So you'd look at your map later and think, wait, did I forget to grab that one? You'd go all the way back, only to find an empty spot or a crate that you've already looted. It messed with your sense of progress, especially if you're the type of player who likes clearing areas completely. After this update, that issue's gone. The icons now properly disappear after you've looted the crates, meaning the map reflects exactly what's left to find. It's one of those things that might not sound major, but it really helps keep exploration cleaner and more rewarding. The developers clearly listened to feedback from the community here, because people were posting screenshots, complaining about cluttered maps, and asking for this fix for weeks. And it's finally here. Now, I want to talk a bit about how these small patches fit into the bigger picture of Palworld's development, because that's something a lot of people overlook. We've had a few content-rich updates lately, right? Some that added new features, tweaks to the AI, and even changes to the PAL mechanics. But what we're seeing here is the other side of development, the maintenance work that keeps the game running smoothly while they're building up to the next big thing. Every time a major bug fix like this rolls out, it frees up the team to focus on future content without worrying about players being stuck in broken battles or frustrated with the map system. So even though this update is just two fixes, it's an important foundation for what's coming next. If you think about it, this kind of update also shows how closely the dev team at Pocket Pair is watching the player experience. They could have just bundled these fixes into a larger update later on, but instead, they push them out now. That tells you they're trying to make the game feel stable and enjoyable in real time. And honestly, that's a really good sign for the health of the game, because we've seen plenty of survival style or monster collection games where updates come months apart and bugs linger forever. Palworld's team is clearly doing something different. They're acting fast, responding to reports, and making sure players don't get stuck with issues that ruin the flow of gameplay. Let's talk about what this means for players on different platforms too. This build, 1.082.048, rolled out across PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 5 pretty much simultaneously, which wasn't always the case with earlier patches. Before, some console players had to wait a little longer to get the same fixes that PC players got first. But this time, it looks like everyone got it together, which is awesome because it keeps the community in sync. There's nothing worse than trying to talk about a bug or an event with friends and realizing you're on a different patch than they are. Syncing everything up shows that the team is tightening up their update pipeline. Something else worth mentioning is that even though this patch doesn't add new content directly, it still affects gameplay indirectly. Think about how those freezes or lingering icons mess with your momentum. Now that they're gone, you can spend more time exploring, battling, and experimenting without interruptions. It also means that when the next big update comes, maybe a new island, a new raid boss, or some fresh pals, you won't be dealing with the same stability problems that could have carried over. So yeah, it's not the flashiest update, but it's definitely one that improves the day-to-day feel of playing the game. And I've got to say, one thing that stands out to me is how vocal the community has been about these issues and how quickly they've been addressed. You can tell the devs are really watching the community channels, Steam, Reddit, Discord, even social media. People were posting clips of those freezes happening mid-battle, trying to figure out what triggered them, and it became this mini investigation. And within a relatively short time, boom, fix deployed. That kind of turnaround time shows that the devs aren't just reading feedback, they're acting on it. If you've been playing Palworld for a while, you probably remember when it first launched and how chaotic some of those early builds were. It's honestly kind of cool to see how much smoother the game's become since then. The frame rate's better, the loading times have improved, the PAL AI is smarter, and updates like this one keep tightening the screws on stability. So yeah, maybe it's just two bug fixes, but when you stack them on top of months of improvements, you start to realize how much progress has actually been made. I've seen a lot of players saying that after updating, the game just feels more consistent. They're not getting random lockups, the map feels cleaner, and overall performance feels snappier. That's the kind of polish that really helps a game age well, especially one like Palworld that mixes so many systems: combat, base building, capturing, crafting, and exploration. When all those pieces start working together without breaking, it feels more cohesive, and you can focus on having fun instead of troubleshooting bugs. Now, if you're wondering whether there's any hidden tweak or unlisted change in this patch, from what I've seen and tested, it looks like it's purely those two fixes. No stealth nerfs, no hidden stat changes, no balance adjustments. The devs were really straightforward this time. But that also means the next update might be a bit bigger because these smaller hotfixes usually clear the path for something more substantial down the line. So if you're someone who's been waiting for new content, hang in there. This patch is likely a stability checkpoint before the next round of additions. Something else that's worth noting is how updates like this help multiplayer sessions. If you've been playing co-op or on a server, you know that one person freezing can sometimes mess up the whole group. So with that bug fixed, multiplayer should feel smoother too. I've seen a couple of streamers testing it after the patch, running through Terraprism fights with full teams, and everything looks solid. No desyncs, no crashes. That's a really good sign, especially for people who play primarily with friends. You might also notice that after installing the update, your system does a quick rebuild or recheck of game files, which is normal. That's just it, syncing up the new build version. Once that's done, everything should boot up normally. If you had a save affected by one of those freezing battles, you don't have to worry. It won't corrupt your file or anything. You can just jump back in and pick up where you left off.